Good morning, happy Monday. I figured I should do a quick update on Bitcoin because I haven't done one for a while, mainly because I've been focusing on alts, there's so many of them, and I've been trying to keep on top of all the updates and things that I did in the last few weeks. And it's been hard because I've had, I think, 200 alerts in February go off, and I haven't updated anywhere near half of those charts as yet. But yeah, just a quick one on Bitcoin. I still think there's a chance we're kind of forming a diamond pattern here, but we've got no confirmation, and I don't think we're quite there yet. Well, at least the structure is certainly telling me we're not quite there yet, but the confluence isn't really 100% there across all the charts I look at. So we've had a lot of this move fueled by the ETF buying. And obviously we had a lot of grayscale selling down here, and that seems to have calmed down, and then the buying's come in. I still find it quite bizarre that they're just buying up here. So either they know something I don't, or they're just not very smart, or they're just price insensitive and they're quite happy to buy and hold. You know, even if it drops to 30k, they'll just buy more. So, you know, or can we consider, I don't know, I mean, the ETFs, I guess they're considered institutional funds, however, they are retail people buying them. So maybe they're just, it's the same as considering a retail trader. As far as resistance goes, we're sort of about to come into a 3-day supply, and I have put an alert there, or not an alert, but a possible rejection level there. Mainly because it coincides with the CME gap that's been there for a very long time. So this is the CME chart. So the CME 3-day level is significantly higher at 37. So we may get up higher before the next, either not necessarily rejection, but just retracement. I was looking for a possible swing failure of those highs at the end of last week, which we got, but now we're sort of still pushing over that, so we still haven't got the confirmation that could still happen, but we still haven't got the confirmation. And yeah, we've got the CME gap a little bit higher. It's not that clear exactly where it is, but in the mid to high 53s, and that would be obviously a long-term gap fill, which we may or may not care about. We're still leaving hundreds of gaps below, which we're not, for the most part, closing. As of yesterday, let's look at the local gap. So, you know, we get very close to closing, so I don't know if it really counts as close. So for example, down here, you know, it was like $100 off or something, and it closed to the top of the previous candle, but just not to where the closing price should be. Similarly here, last week, add this in, we had a gap on Thursday. So again, the price did, because actually the price I think was higher here on the traditional exchanges, so we did essentially get some sort of a wick down on CME at the open. However, again, it didn't go to the closing price from the day before on Thursday. And then today we've got another gap that's the closing price on Friday. But again, the wick got very, very close to it, so arguably it's closed. But yeah, so that's that, and yeah, there isn't much in the way of resistance now. So you're just sort of really guessing well, not guessing, but looking at the next zones and going, okay, the next significant zone on CME is 57k, and there's a weekly above that. Could still swing fail these highs on the normal US dollar pair of traditional. We have this 3-day here at 53,782, or that's where it would start, and obviously it's a zone, so it can go into that. We've got a fib level, so the linear fib, the 70 fib would be just below there, so again, interesting to look at those 53s. And you know, to the downside, we did create a daily demand as of yesterday by a hair, but didn't on the Korean pair, which I'll get to in a moment. But so this just closed very, very slightly above, and thus we're holding it as support now, for the time being anyway. I don't expect that to hold for the rest of the week. I do think we'll come back down into here at some stage. It's just a question if we, you tend to have two options on a Monday, like it could take out either this high or this high and then just come straight back in, or if price is strong, then we can go up potentially Monday, Tuesday, possibly Wednesday, and then do some sort of a retracement a bit later in the week. It's interesting that there's a public holiday today, because then we may not get that buying that we would normally get off Coinbase and the ETFs. So we may come back down today. I think that's a possibility. What else? And yeah, so then pattern-wise, like I was just looking at this pattern. Obviously we've done the taking out of the stops at the lows, and if you watched my video yesterday, you'll see why I decided saw that it was going to bounce there and align nicely with the VWAP, and I think the 61 fib was in there as well. So obviously the chances are we're going to take out the highs, or at least we've taken out some already because we've taken out these lows. Just in general, looking at that pattern at the top there, so I've got a bit too many indicator mess on my chart at the moment, but we've kind of done a distribution pattern and then pushed back up, and there's a few of these in the past. So here is a similar scenario, and that's then taken out the top before a bigger drop. There's a similar one here which has just dropped straight off the ETF release here, dropped down, and then we had more of a wiki pattern. So it is possible we put in some sort of a double top here. Then you can sort of see here it's similar, but has just wicked up and again just continued that slow grind up. So we just need to see what's going to happen with price action and trade what we see. Here is another similar distribution pattern which is just retested before a bigger drop. But yeah, so this pattern can go either way from what I see from past PA. It's very slow coming up here. It's obviously leaving loads of stops below, hence why I think at some stage it's going to go down and take out those stops. This is quite a nice triangle we had. Actually, look at that 4 hour again. So this was a really nice 4 hour consolidation before the breakdown. And I was trying to find, I actually did find it really obvious, but I had some sort of trend line in here that I've moved now, so I can't tell, but it was really obvious at the time it was going to break down. And now it's obviously come back up through it with that daily demand. So while there's daily demand in there, I don't really want to be shorting this in the short term, unless you obviously see some sort of pattern, 4 hour or whatever. And I've got some fib there. I don't know why I've got a fib in there. So that is, that's just me trying to having a kind of fib every top just to see what the confluence is below. So we have had good confluence below on this. That's the only thing with this being an actual top, if it were to be an actual top, or if it's already been put in. On the log chart, the golden fib zone does fall in that sort of area, the 3 week demand that was created and hasn't been tested. Then in the 70, the 61 would be a little bit higher, and the 70 would be again in that zone. I'm trying to think, yeah, I have actually moved these on my other chart. So yeah, so the entries I'd be looking at for possible longs would be the top of this 3 week would be the first one, and then there's the 3 day untested inside it. Probably that one at the bottom isn't that a bit moved now. And then the ones lower that I've had previously, if we ever get back to test those. But it'd be interesting to see if this does form some sort of a diamond pattern. If it comes down heavily into here. So like if I was very bullish, I would expect it to stay up here before continuing, but if it does come down very heavily into here, even though it's a 3 week demand, I'd probably be a bit more bearish for it to potentially do a bigger, like I say, complete this diamond. And what else? Korea, again, hasn't really helped. It's already in the 3 day, it's very high up relative structurally to the US dollar pair, because of the US dollar DXY has been weaker than stronger. It's now coming up to a weekly level in there, and again, so the confluence is there if it was to reject, but again, the high time frame zones it just can reject anywhere inside, or it could just keep going at this point because we've got so much FOMO around it. The yen pair has now broken all-time high. And remember, I was conscious that on the Asian pairs we have annual demand on all of them, so this wick down didn't quite tap it, but yeah, wick down very close to annual demand. The Korean pair was already on the annual demand there. So again, these moves up don't surprise me at all from those perspectives. We didn't have quite the same on the euro and the pound, etc. I mean, they're still strong and still already up in that 3-day supply up there too. But they didn't create the annual demands. It was Korea, Japan, and the Chinese pair. So the China pair came down also into the annual demand before pushing up. So actually, and on that basis, all of these taking out those highs wouldn't surprise me at all. Yeah, so that's that. Oh yeah, and then the reciprocal version, the US dollar dominance, so has been getting little bounces and things, and bigger bounces, depending on whether we look at the US dollar's tether on its own or the aggregated pairs, because obviously the structures are slightly different. The aggregated pairs are already in the 6-month and monthly demand, but again, large zones. The one with USDC could go again a bit lower, and the tether pair itself, I would like to see that in this 3 days, so that would align quite nicely, or even through the 3 day and into the monthly. But the next level is not far off, but that would be the level to wait for before looking for potential shorts on Bitcoin. Very tentative on short because obviously it's very, very strong, and until we see that buying die off from the ETFs, it's probably going to keep holding. So this did have a decent move before and over the weekend, but just rejected, actually just below 12-hour supply above. Created daily supply yesterday, so while we might get an up move into here, I still expect this to go lower. And in the bigger picture from previous updates I've done, again, we had this strong move up here into the weekly supply and hoping to get a hold in 3-4 day demands that were through here, but didn't. So the structure is still doing what it should do from a weekly perspective. Weekly supply down, and then we have another week. Even if we get through this daily, we have this new 2 and 3 weekly supply above, which coincides with the Bitcoin 2 and 3 weekly demand. So still got that high time frame and low time frame downtrend on this, and hence the uptrend on Bitcoin. Nothing really more to add there. Just yes, it could bounce sooner. It's not necessarily, this is not a fine art with the dominance pairs, but at the moment, there's nothing telling me that I should be bearish on Bitcoin. The total chart's similar, relatively weaker than the Bitcoin chart because it's still in the monthly supply. The alts, despite looking as strong, aren't as strong. But again, it had a decent move and potentially could top out, but nothing that's telling me specifically it's going to top out yet on any higher time frames. Also has the daily demand in there, so you can just watch for this daily demand to flip. If it flips, either you're long off this daily demand, or you can watch it to flip to supply, and then if we do see that flip to supply, then it's likely to bounce off the next daily demand, which is where I have an alert on Bitcoin as well, actually. Then we just have to see if it makes a higher, or if it holds a rejection for a bigger drop down to this weekly. Total and total 2 is similar, so total 2 and total 3, as you know, I wasn't overly keen on where they'd rejected here at this point, and until they broke weekly demand, I wasn't going to be bearish, and that was the right play because obviously it's come up significantly since then, and a lot of the alts have obviously pumped very, very hard since then, total 3 is probably going to look much the same. I think it's slightly weaker, it's still in the daily demand, but there is still, I think, potential for total 2 and total 3 to go up into this monthly supply up here to align with where the rest of the market is, and better fibs and things like that. Also, interestingly, so we've got it's still 10 days or so till the end of the month, but potentially we're going to create a monthly demand on all these charts now as well. So maybe we'll just get some messing around in here, flip this 3 week into a monthly demand, and then get the push at the start of March or sometime in March. But I guess we shall see. But as always, until demand is broken, we can't be bearish. We're just looking at levels of interest, and also come a little bit out of this channel now. So again, is this going to hold for that bigger push up, which could see alts and really go significantly higher? I think that's about all I really want to say on Bitcoin. I mean, all the charts basically reflect the same thing. Yes, we're still going up, and anybody can see that. we are in a coming into decent supply zones and things like that, but not no confirmation of any turnaround as yet. Okay, I think that's about it for Bitcoin. I'll do a separate video on Ether in a moment. Probably not massively useful because I'm a bit indecisive right now, but so just as a quick, I guess, summary of looking for possible shorts in the mid to high 53s to start, but then being conscious that's the start of the zone. Possible longs macro, if we come down into this 3-week demand, I want that to hold, and on the micro I would look at this daily demand here for a possible entry at 61 fibs, so around the 50k mark would be a decent long entry if we get back there on the lower time frame.